The Butt Kicker Gamer 2. What you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Texas is always a tough one. And if our drivers wanted something a little bit more simple, well, they kind of get their wish. Talladega will involve far less technical driving, but your strategy will make or break your race. And sometimes you'll be at the mercy of the chaotic nature of superspeedways. Let's see who can break on through to the other side as we get ready to watch round 2 of the PRL Truck Series. And you'll see it all live here on RaceSpotTV. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Dylan Cole. Behind the scenes, our director, Dustin Ollis, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Well, we are here at Talladega, the biggest, the fastest, and the most steeply banked track here, Dylan. It's certainly going to be a tough one for drivers if they hope for a nice, easy day.
Yeah, it certainly will be a difficult race. 40 minutes. It's a timed race here at Talladega. The biggest thing you have to remember is because it is timed, these caution periods, which we will have, will take so much time away from actual racing. So you got to be strategic. There's no need for tires here at this track. There might be a need for fuel. If there is a need for fuel, then you might see some strategy coming into play. But really, if there's a caution and we're green with 5 minutes to go, that's race over.
Absolutely. So it's going to be interesting, no doubt. Now, as we take a look at the schedule for the NASCAR Truck Series, Iowa Speedway is going to be next. This is where we'll finally diverge from the Grand National Series, which we'll cover after this. And then on the way down, we'll get to some more traditional 1.5 milers with Las Vegas and Homestead. And then we go short track racing with Martinsville. Certainly some variety coming up here on the schedule for the Truck Series. Of course, we also have a championship in this series, starting off with the Drivers' Championship here, Dylan. We've had the one round, so it is basically just how it began.
Absolutely. Just one round, so you see all the drivers who finished where they did. Of course, bonus points are taken into account. There's a plethora of bonus points that you can get in this series based on laps led, who leads a lap, anything like that. And that can obviously separate you at the end of the season. But it's going to be a good one, a 10-race season that actually lasts pretty much longer than any other PRL season will be, with a Thanksgiving break before that finale.
And they also have a teams championship in this one. Loaded Dice Racing currently up at the top on that one by a decent margin considering how close everybody else is. Let's see if they can keep that up, though. This could certainly shake it up, but again, it's early in the season. They will have a drop week in there as well, and that will certainly help things out, especially for those that didn't start things off on a good foot, such as We Race Esports, all the way down there in 10th, tied with Vice Motorsport, and a good ways behind by more than half the points, less than half the points really there, behind Loaded Dice Racing. And of course, we have a plethora of sponsors in this series, one of which is Advanced Sim Racing. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. All PRL members also get a 5% discount on ASR products using the Precision 5 coupon code. It's also brought to you by Racebox Sim Racing. Racebox offers mid and high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts, from the casual gamer up to the most meticulous sim racing driver. Competitively priced and carefully handcrafted, their button boxes are an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. Visit RaceSpotTV.com and get a 5% discount using the Precision 5 coupon code. And, of course, there's the Butt Kicker. Butt Kicker products add an incredible immersion and realism to every game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Also, it's brought to you by Mechasim Hardware. Mechasim Hardware is a small company from the Czech Republic, and their goal is to produce high-quality sim racing hardware. If you're looking for a high-end pedal set, handbrake, or sequential shifter, visit Mechasim Hardware's eShop right now to get you up to speed. And let's not forget Muradness. Muradness is a performance lifestyle brand motivated by motorsport and founded by professional race car driver Daniel Morad. For more information, visit muradness.com. And finally, Mr. Hedge Sim Racing Photography. Mr. Hedge iRacing Photography capture your finest, proudest, or simply worst moment from your hobby in up to 8K resolution. A great addition to any sim room. Does appear that qualifying has just started. And while, again, the contrast of simple but not here, Dylan, it seems simple because, well, you put your foot to the floor and you try and go as fast as you can around here, and there's no lifting. And yet there's so many tricks and nuances to getting the quickest lap here at Talladega.
I mean, it really is about trying to use that out lap and maybe even that first lap to run up high against the wall. You want to go the longest distance, at least on the first time around, so you can gain speed as much as you can. But these trucks, I mean, they get up to speed pretty much at the end of that out lap almost entirely. So you can then start to run right at the bottom. Usually you don't always want to run up to the top. You want to keep that truck planted against that yellow line, that double yellow line. It gets you the best lap time. It's the quickest way around, and typically it's the fastest lap time. You see Goff is trying to stay up high to, again, get that long distance in so he can build up as much speed as possible before really going for it here with just under 3 minutes left. Now he goes down to those double yellow lines in the tri-oval, that start-finish line, positioned right outside the tri-oval. Different, of course, from Daytona. You'll hear that from broadcasters pretty much every single moment that they have a chance to give that information to you. But we already see some times are being set.
Indeed, the first lap looks like Oliver Petit Pettit is currently on the top spot, and it's close as you'd expect around here, about 200ths of a second. You'll tend to get that. It's such small margins that make the difference. Dennis Faircloth second behind him, still watching Gao carry on around here. Definitely riding at the bottom on this first flying lap for him. And let's see it's the second flying lap. His first one is already through. So this is him using that first flying lap to run up high, as we saw on our screens. So let's see as he gets ready to cross the line. Currently about a second off the pole time. That's actually pretty far. And 56.2, much better. That's going to bump him up into 13th. But we still have a number of other drivers that haven't qualified.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. He is in 13th, but only a 10th off that pole time right now. Steve Loving, his first lap was just 31 thousandths off that pole time. He's currently sat in third position. He'll get one more crack at it. Let's see if he's able to get that pole time. Nope, he's just pulling out of the lap, it appears, and just slowing down. But let's go to Colton Easterday, see what's going on here.
Coming out through 3 and 4. Looks like most of the drivers wanted to try and get out as quickly as they can. Obviously, they only have 5 minutes, so you can't waste too long out here trying to get yourself both lap times in. And as he comes around on his second lap here, What's it going to be as he crosses the line? He's one of the last drivers to set a time, 56.952. Excuse me, that was his first flying lap. So he's now coming around for the second one, but he's not going to have enough time. So 28th is the highest he will see. I'm actually a little bit surprised here, Dylan, that we're seeing as many drivers qualifying as we have, because typically at super speedways, a lot of drivers will elect not to qualify.
What I'm even more surprised about is seeing some of the times like Jake Mackey, who is way off the pace, almost 3 seconds off that qualifying pole time that is currently set by Oliver Petit. Or Petit, excuse me, Petit. We're trying to go a little bit of Petit Le Monde right now, but it looks like he's going to be on pole, the 58 truck, whatever.
I say all trucks are cars, but not all cars are trucks, is the way I see
That's
it.
fair. That's
Yes.
fair.
Anyways, let's go through our starting grid for this one. Oliver Petit on the top spot, as Matthew Karikoff is going to be on second position to his outside of the front row. Dennis Faircloth will begin in third, as Steve Loving will start P4. Richard Pruitt is fifth today, with Garrett Austin flanking to his outside. Dalton Geyer will start in seventh, and Nicholas Starling in eighth. Then it's Steve Kirby in the ninth position. Top 10 rounded out by Blaine Adams. Brett Adams starts in 11th, and then Timothy Emmanuel will round out your first 12.
We continue down the order with Mike Witt in the 88 machine starting in 13th, and Alex Hillman alongside him in row 7. Marty Calvert in 15th with Dylan Schmidt in 16th, representing for the Dylans here. Alan Dice is going to be starting in 17th in that 5 machine, with Dallas Sullivan in 18th. We continue down the order with Stacy Hunter in 19th in that 71 machine, and Christopher Tope in 20th. Tom Macy 21st in that all-familiar 05 truck. And Robert Goff, we saw him qualify a little bit ago, starting in 22nd, row 11, the outside. Ryan Traver in 23rd, and Zachary Austin in 24th.
25th goes to Thomas Brindell, and then you've got Edward Peltz in 26. Oliver Gow will be in at 27th, as Colton Easterday starts from 28th. Last driver to set a time was Jake Mackey in 29th. The rest are gridded according to iRating. That's John Mankowski, Zach Panzarella, Adam Schoen, Steven Martinez, Eric Kulaga, and Philip Beaver, rounding out 35 trucks out here today, getting ready to take off. So they're all lined up and ready to go. Now, we were saying tires not really a concern at a track like this, and I completely agree, but it is 109 Fahrenheit out on the track surface right now. I wonder if that's going to make it a little bit slippery if drivers find themselves having to make sudden moves.
Yeah, I don't think that much. Even though, obviously, it is going to be a slick track, there's not going to be much of a slip angle on these tires. They're not going to be really freewheeling it as much as possible. I'd say that if you're trying to make a sudden move, it really doesn't matter too much. You're going to be struggling to control that truck regardless of the ambient temperature or the track temperature here. It's going to be an interesting race. There's not going to be a need for any new tires at any point in this one. If we talk about some of, the other information that we don't see currently on screen, these are 100% fuel tanks. So still nothing to really worry about, to be honest. If we go green the entire way, then yes, fuel will become a factor. I just don't think that's going to happen.
Well, they're already on the back stretch, so we're getting ready to go green pretty soon here. A single pace lap, with this being a track over a mile long. So they better be ready to go. And you mentioned it earlier, it is a time-limited race here today at 40 minutes. So we'll have to see how many laps exactly they can get in the end, considering this place can sometimes be a bit of a caution fest if people don't mind themselves. It could swing either way as to how the racing could go. Out of turn 4 now. Pace car already motioning towards pit lane, but we won't go right away. We have to wait, as we heard Dylan mention, all the way until the closer to the start-finish line. outside of the trioval. But Oliver will have control of the field in that black and white machine as we wait patiently for the signal from Barney the Flagman. And there it is. Green flag is out. We go racing for round 2 of the PRL Truck Series. Nice orderly start here. A couple drivers ducking down to the bottom. Like what I'm seeing so far, Dylan, nothing too crazy. They are starting to try and switch some lanes here on the backstretch, but it didn't look like anybody was doing anything nuts there to get it going.
Yeah, nothing too crazy right now. Everyone just trying to get up to speed and get their trucks sorted out at front. They're hitting speeds of 185 miles per hour. It's not going to go too much more than that.
Karakov leads right now. Pettit actually is shuffled back quite a bit there on the bottom line. He's down into 6th spot. Loving, Starling all ahead of him now at this point. In fact, Starling actually on the high side, getting a nice little push, it looks like, from the 33 of Blaine Adams there behind him. And that's going to move him up to the top despite being the outside lane. So looks like higher lows not going to matter much here at the start of this race. They're pretty evenly matched.
Yeah, pretty evenly matched so far. It's very interesting. Remember, you get that clock in the top left. That's what these drivers are basing their entire run off of. We're 2 by 2 all the way through the field, probably up until 26th. Then it evens out.
Still some nice lines, not completely nose to tail all throughout. A few of them still ducking out to try to cool the engines down a little here, especially considering it is slightly warm. Now that 109 is track temperature, 80 degrees Fahrenheit out as well. We got a little bit of a bobble there from the 11. I think he got some help from Pettit, but they're going to hold it together.
Everyone is fine for now. For now. You know, it's always that indicator that things are going to be crazy the longer we go in this run. If they're already crazy now, if we already have some bobbles now trying to get up to full speed, which they already are, maybe it's an indicator of things to come as well. You know what we haven't talked about? We haven't talked about the playoff situation, because we do have playoffs here in Season 4 of PRL Oval competition. Of course, with the PRL Truck Series, Alan Dice came into Season 4 up on everybody else. It's a round of 16 right now, the first 3 rounds. Came in with 73 playoff points. Right now, he's tied with Dallas Sullivan. They started right next to each other in this race with 109 points. They're the top 2. But that bubble right now, Golf and Colton Easterday, 12th, 13th. They both have 31 points on the season so far.
You can see Starling in the 94 there, who has now moved up into the top as he's being pushed by the 33 of Adams once again. Seems very comfortable being the pusher here in these early stages. Let's see if that changes as it goes on. Bottom side with Karakov still up at the top. And Steve Loving in the 27 is the one that's trying to get him back forward. So as they come around the tri-oval once again, we get ready to start lap 5. We're ticking them off. We're about 5 minutes into this race, on top of about 4 minutes, really. But unlike most oval races, again, this is all timed. This is not to a set amount of laps.
You see Dennis Faircloth, he started this race in 3rd. He's deciding to drop back, go on that outside line all the way up against the wall. I don't know if that was just forced for him to go out wide, but it's not falling back too quickly. I don't think he wants to fall back too quickly. I don't know if being in the back of this whole pack is necessarily the right move, but hey, we'll see that. We'll see if it does come to fruition, the wreck comes and he's able to avoid it. Because I think at this point, Joe, it's the big one always happens. It always comes at Talladega.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure we'll have one at some point here, especially considering, I mean, it was only, lap 2 or 3 that we saw a car nearly get tipped around, but great work by the 11 of Hillman to keep that from happening. And you're right, Faircloth all the way to the back of the group before it finally splits off to the second little smattering of cars that are all kind of mostly solo behind Tim. We're still watching the leaders here on your screen right now, giving big pushes down the backstretch. It's all a matter of seeing who can get the biggest run, and then if anything's going to be done with it. But so far, I'm not seeing drivers try to get a pair of them out ahead and chop down into the other lane. It looks like they're pretty content running where they are here, Dylan.
I mean, there's no reason to be too aggressive too early. I do wonder if Fairclaw saw something that we didn't necessarily see, that there was some heightened aggression only a few minutes into this race, not even 5.5 minutes into this right now. We are about to see traffic play a part with Brett Adams about to go 3 laps down. So they're going to go momentarily 3 wide throughout this entire field. What a team name. The Adams Family Racing.
Exactly. Well, it's becoming a bit of a dark day for them, the way it's going for the 23. Like you said, now 3 laps down. Unfortunately, that's not going to do well unless we get enough cautions and he's not involved in it to get that lucky dog to get back into it.
That's going to be asking a lot with the timed race too, though.
Yeah. I don't think we want 3 cautions.
I don't want that.
Yeah, that'll be a little too frequent, frankly. But we'll see. You just don't know what's going to happen here. And they continue to give pushes around through the tri-oval. This is a very wide track, and I'm kind of surprised we're not seeing people take advantage of that. This place a little bit more notorious for allowing them to try and race 3 wide here, Dylan.
Yeah, and I think we will see 3 wide racing. Like I said, there's really no need to be too aggressive right now. Just, sit back. You do see a little bit of snaking, which makes me a little bit anxious of him in the front few rows here. I don't know. This is a weird situation where, because it's timed, you don't know how much green flag action you're going to have to try and make passes. But if there is a caution from the aggression, which could be caused by, for example, you trying to make your way through the field, then you lower the amount of time you potentially have to get back into this race, get to the front. We start to see some shuffling. I feel like these drivers up front of these trucks are starting to get a little bit uncomfortable being where they are, getting off, bumper a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left, and they're uncomfortable.
What's interesting here is one of these rows started up at the front. The other is up many positions. Starling, Blaine Adams, and Timothy Emmanuel are up about 7 positions each from where they began. So they shot forward a little bit and are obviously desiring to be a little bit out of the trouble in the back, in the mid-pack, so that they don't get collected, trying to lead this race. Behind them, I was trying to see if we had any big movers. Honestly, not many, which is, again, a little bit surprising in Talladega, because usually you get a couple cars that shoot through the field since it's not that hard to pass. And the only one that's really moving quickly is Eric Kulaga in the 66, who's up 13.
Yeah, and that is some big movements right now for Kulaga. It's still in the back, right? Like, you're still trying to fight in the back right now. You're not doing much for yourself by being there. You're right in the thick of things. So things could get dangerous very quickly. You look at all that snaking right now, I feel like the heat is about to turn up a little bit.
Certainly starting to get that feeling. Yeah, we're seeing a lot more wobbling around. The lines are not as concise. Everybody looks like maybe they're starting to think about doing their own thing a little bit more. So will some moves start happening? Or are drivers still going to just wait it out? Because we are only less than a quarter into this race. So while it could get them track position, it's not going to mean a whole lot in the big picture.
Yeah, not a whole lot in the big picture, but it does get you closer to that end goal. It's just, you got to reason with your aggression here. We're almost a quarter of the way into this race. You can go 5 laps in, goodness, you can go 6 laps in a 5-minute span, but that's also the amount of time that we could be under caution for. So it's all about trying to find the risk and the reward, and they're getting a little bit more shuffle as we head into turn 3. We launched with Mike Witt right here and that 88 truck right now. You see how uncomfortable it is. Maybe the bottom's the better line to be in. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, at this point, It could be the better spot because, well, everything's going to go to the outside very quickly if something happens, usually anyways. Sometimes, though, you can also be blocked in there, so it could become a problem if you have no place to try and avoid the accident. But we'll see. So far, it's been all green since the beginning. We're already on lap 12.
So another little wrinkle here is that PRL uses the exact same 3-3-3-1 playoff format that NASCAR series use. So, of course, in the PRL Truck Series, the PRL Grand National Series, they try to replicate what goes on in the real world. That means if you're in the playoffs and you get a win, you advance to the next round. So that is something to keep in mind here.
Absolutely. So, yeah, differing motivations. You have to be wary of that because sometimes your rivals might be thinking in a different way than you are and have a lot more on the line, or less potentially. And while you can make certain risks, they might not be able to. So everybody keep their head on a swivel as Starling still leads there on the top side, at least for the brief moment, coming through 1 and 2 in that number 94. And Karakov just pokes his nose ahead at brief times.
Well, it's an accordion effect, right? You snake down, everyone else snakes down behind you, and all of a sudden you're below the double yellow line. You want to try and get up quickly, and then calamity ensues. Oh, we got a truck that got a little bit loose, heading into turn 3. Almost went 3 wide right there, but we stabilize it back out. Look at Nicholas Starling. He was thinking about going down to the inside and cutting off Matthew Karakov, but decides to stay on the outside lane with Blaine Adams in tow.
We did see one lap truck already, but they're quickly approaching Tom Massey as the next one. Brett Adams not going to be happy about that because that means that now Tom will get the lucky dog, as I just heard him on the radio, I think trying to communicate with this pack to let him know what he's going to do, because that's why I was kind of turning my attention here, Dylan, is the lap traffic could be the thing that shakes things up tremendously.
You know, I don't know if that's going to happen on a super speedway unless it's a really bad case of, for example, Tom Macy getting, loose or trying to really insert himself into this field immediately. Now, you've seen at the end of stages and in real life oval super speedway competition, you see sometimes there's a fight for the free pass, so you want to try and get yourself into this pack as quickly as possible. And sometimes that can be a little bit aggressive. That can be a little bit risky. We saw a fight at the end of stage 1 of this year's Daytona 500. AJ Allmendinger had to get back into the group very aggressively to stay in that free pass range. Right now, Tom Macy doesn't really have to do that because if there is a caution, I mean, he's by far pretty much safe as the first one that would be a lap down. The next one that would be lapped around 35 seconds from Stacey Hunter.
Yeah, I mean, Tom could literally be lapped 2 more times and still be the lucky dog here. So
yeah, but you don't want to get into a situation where you're going any more than a lap down right now, because I honestly think, especially at Talladega with this caution and the time system, you go 2 laps down here, even if you're the free pass, you're not getting a good result. You're going to be very lucky to get back onto that lead lap and gain some positions on track.
That's very true. So, yeah, he won't want that to happen, but at least he can know that he is still safe if we have to wait a bit. And the way things are going so far, again, no cautions up to lap 16 now. We're 15 minutes into this race almost, so it has been going somewhat smoothly. Knock on your favorite piece of wood. And we'll see if this does continue. Excellent. Well done.
Thank you. It's hollow.
But here's the thing. So if we do stay green, that will mean green flag pit stops, and that's its own kettle of fish.
Oh, boy. Yeah, that would absolutely be a hairy situation. I'm not so sure that these drivers practiced, all of them practiced at least, a pit party. If they did, and it stays green until we have to go to green flag pit stops, if that is the case, then they become very lucky. They know where they have to stop. And, I mean, then it becomes if you mess up your pit situation at all, well, then it's a really bad deal, and you're very unfortunate. We see the second pack here. It's just a 3-car pack. They need a caution to get back into this race. Trying to play it cool, but maybe playing it a little bit too cool as we inch closer and closer to the halfway point of this PRL truck race.
The moment I had a little bit of shock thinking that iRacing has really raised the number of cars available in a session, because they were showing that second pack in position 31,000. So they're in 31st right now, but yeah, it's been corrected.
That is a wonderful thing to see, the entry list going that high.
Very, very healthy series in that case. But look at this up front. Blaine Adams is really pulling ahead now. In fact, they've got almost all three of the cars ahead of Nick Starling on the high side. So things are changing somewhat in nature.
Things are definitely changing a little bit. Right now, out of the top few runners, I mean, you get a situation where, for example, Matthew Karakoff comes into this playoff season. Remember, Season 4 is its own thing, but the playoffs are also in Season 4. You're basically racing in two championships, one that's a season long, one that is just this 10 races. Imagine winning both. That would be wonderful. But I almost feel like the big prize is the full season PRL Truck Series title. If you're a driver like Matthew Karakoff, and you come into this race 9th in the playoff standings, plus 13 to the good with 2 rounds left, and you have a potential chance to win and make it into the round of 12, not have to worry about next week's race. We were saying Iowa. So that's a substantial comfort, I'd say. Oh, what's going on in the back there?
Yeah, somebody getting up to the high side, trying to make out who that is that's ducking out of line. Someone's joining. They're not trying to go backwards. Looks like maybe trying to move forward. That's Brett Adams in the 23 that's trying to do something. And the 7 was the one that looked like he was trying to join him. That was Edward Peltz. But both of them have gotten back in line. Well, they did get back in line, and now the 23 is up there again.
Yeah, I mean, Adams is forcing things, but I mean, he's trying to take it 3 wide and getting very tight, very close. Remember, Adams is 3 laps down. He would not benefit even to get to 2 laps down. Even if he led this pack and the yellow came out, he would not get the free pass. He'd have to take the wave around, but he couldn't because he'd need fuel. So, I don't know. Battling, trying to go 3 wide when you're 3 laps down is not the best case unless you're trying to help teammates, which I don't know if it's the smartest move, but hopefully we don't come back to it with the potential for a yellow or caution coming out. Blaine Adams still in the lead.
So looks like 23 is still doing his best to try and go around the outside and pick up spots. Yeah, I agree with you. There isn't a whole lot to be gained, but I mean, there's also nothing to lose. So at this point, I kind of understand the 23. Yes, that is. Oh, and we got a caution.
And it's
a Massey, maybe? No, I'm trying to make out. Oh, looks like Austin, I think. Zach Austin involved in this one, and it does look like he was part of the start of it, but I think he got a little help from Christopher Tope.
Yeah, Austin might have been majorly involved, but Christopher Tope is going to have to be majorly apologizing to everybody here because he just is not clear down on the inside, and he swings his truck all the way down to the left, and it ends a few drivers' day. Big hit into that outside wall, and that's about halfway through this race. We'll see trucks maybe coming into the pits. So this is a question now that I've got. You get another caution, you might not have to go into the pits. I think you do pit just in case, but if you're all the way in the back, maybe short pit. I don't know what you do here. I mean, I think you get full tank here. I think you get a full tank, but I could see someone rolling the dice. Also, we got Matt Schaefer in the RaceSpotTV YouTube chat saying, amazing, it's been clean so far. I didn't jinx it. That was a few minutes ago. I said yet. He said, that's your job. There we go.
So the 45, unfortunately, having his day ended early here. And it was right at the end that Faircloth could not go around him. I mean, he was, to be
What
fair,
did we talk about?
Zachary did the right thing, though. He held the brakes. That's what you're supposed to do. It just wind up putting the car right in the way of Faircloth.
Right, but what did we talk about with Dennis Faircloth earlier in this race? He dropped all the way back. We didn't know what the right move would be. It ended up being the wrong move in that circumstance, in that situation. We see everyone coming down pit lane. Are there any that stay out? Brett Adams, obviously, but of course he is laps down now. I think everyone is coming down for fuel, which is the right move. You know, there's no reason to not come in for fuel. Cars are going to be able to go on the wave around if they so choose.
Karakov taking 2 tires. Same with Starling. Yeah, it looks like pretty much everybody taking 2 tires out here. I'm not seeing any 4-tire calls unless Emmanuel had a very, very fast start. Now, Philip Beaver has gained a lot of positions here up in the 60, but he did not stop in his pit stall. He must have missed it there, unless he is just electing to gain some track position, hoping that he can do something different to everybody else. Don't know what is the case exactly. And Massey also stayed out, but again, he's our lucky dog, so that was kind of expected, and he'll get back onto the lead lap.
Yeah, Philip Beaver definitely missed his pit stall. So remember I was also talking about doing a pit party, pit practicing, trying to know where you have to come into the pits. Well, doesn't look like Philip Beaver got as much practice as he needed to know where to come into the pits. We catch our replay right here. He moves to the left. It's almost like he knows the approximate position and situation, but he doesn't want to get too much in the way. And you know, it was just too late. Had to pull back, and Beaver's going to probably have to come down right now. Started this race in 35th. He's going to be not 35th, maybe 32nd on this restart, but not much time left to get it moving.
Not often that you see drivers slow and then also check everybody up like that in pit lane, but thankfully nobody ran into him. Unfortunately for him, like you were saying, started 35th, and remember that pit stall is gridded according to where you qualified. So if you're not paying attention and don't remember that you qualified way down the order, then you can so easily miss it as you come in. And now, yeah, see, he is dead last. So that's why he missed it.
That is pit stall 35, it should be. NASCAR tracks usually label their pit stalls. 1 is at pit exit, and the highest number is closest to pit entry. Brett Adams will, I guess, take the wave around. I guess he also did not come into the pits. Yeah, so he's going to hope for a quick caution so he can come into the pits. Or, hey, here's the other thing. If there is a quick caution, then he doesn't have to come into the pits. There's not going to be enough laps of green flag racing potentially for him to have to pit. Interesting strategy moves here. He is also, I believe, going to be, if Zachary Austin comes out of the pits here, the same 2-lap down mark. We don't know exactly. We see the ticker going in the left. So yeah, Zach is going to be now 3 laps down. So yeah, Brett Adams is the only car right now on the track, not in the pits specifically, that is just even a lap down. So we'll see how that plays out. Brett could still get lucky.
Indeed, and he's going to need a lot of that luck here at this stage of the race. We've got 16 minutes left to go. First yellow of the day. Karakov is going to lead them back. Adams starting second. Starling and Loving on the next row, inside and outside, respectfully between them. And we should be getting green flag this time by, as Adams is just catching up to the back of the field. Looks like Massey is already there. And we've got all the cars lined up, ready to go. This is the first of a doubleheader tonight. If you're enjoying the Truck Series and you can't get enough, of course, don't forget we got the Grand National Series coming up immediately after this. The same track here at Talladega, so plenty of super speedway action to keep you on your toes. But who is going to be able to get that toe ahead at the finish line amongst them as they get ready for the restart here And Karakov is waiting for the signal. There it is. Green flag is out. He gets a decent jump, but you don't always want a huge jump here. You want your fellow competitors to go along with you.
Yeah, big jump is not a good jump at Talladega, at a super speedway at all. It's a little bit different when you're not dealing with, a NASCAR Cup Series car or NASCAR Xfinity Series car, right? Because they are on restrictor plates. So trucks, they're not. And they have a little bit of a different momentum feeling here. And it's not as big of a run that you typically get, but we do see a swap to the outside there. The aggression levels are going to start to rise for sure. A hit in the bumper, a little bit of a wiggle.
And somebody below the yellow line looks like they're able to get back in there. I understand that there was a checkup that we may have just caught there in the background. So great job by everybody to keep this rolling. And there's some of the 3 wide that we were talking about. Unfortunately, some of the drivers almost forced into having that situation.
Yeah, that is a unfortunate situation to find yourself in. They're not terribly far back, where if they do group up and they want to work together to get back to this front pack, they still can do that. But everyone from 19th up is in this lead group. The rest are starting to pull back in just momentarily. I mean, we are 2 by 2 all the way back through the top 20. There's only 35 cars that entered into this race, still 35 cars in this race. We're under 14 minutes to go here. Probably what, 16, 17 green flag laps, if that?
Yeah, somewhere around there sounds about correct. And it'll probably come down to that last lap or 2 to decide who's going to win, especially if it does stay green. Looks like across the line this time, Starling is going to lead. He was that one that jumped up to the high side in that bright green and red number 94. And so far, paying off pretty good. He does have Blaine Adams pushing him, but like you said, Blaine Adams, one of those drivers that has a lot on his plate here, considering the playoffs.
Oh, this is getting aggressive. These guys are really tight right now, really uncomfortable. We're seeing 3 wide all the way just outside the top 10. Yeah, these lines are starting to get built. You see trucks going up. Oh, we got a spinner trying to clear himself. Big hit. Oh, we got a truck flipping. Caution is out. The big one hits us. 13 minutes to go.
Ooh, a lot of drivers involved in this one. You can see so many are slowing up just to try and keep themselves from being collected. But just to give you a few names, Calvert's in it, Pruitt, Sullivan is in there, Geyer, Brendel, Kulaga, Martinez. Looks like, did Robert Gow actually make it through? I think Robert Gow may have just managed to sneak through on this one, although he had to almost come to a halt a couple times to avoid incidents. And, he does have some damage on there, but he had slowed up pretty good at the start of the incident and had to come to just a complete stop.
Yeah, I tried to get it turned around on the banking as well. You're not really going to be able to get it turned around from a dead stop onto the banking unless you just put it in neutral or reverse and go down onto the apron here at Talladega. But that's the big one, right? We kind of saw it coming down the backstretch. They got really aggressive with their pushing. 3 wide started happening. And then honestly, it's just kind of a lazy clear attempt right there that leads to that wreck. Of course, the 46 going for a little bit of a ride there. And not really clear himself there, did he?
No, definitely did not. So that is the car of Dalton Geyer and gets a little bit clipped by Colton Easterdays. That's what started all of this. And Geyer, unfortunately, got it really bad. He definitely had a massive hit there when the car swung back. We're gonna check out from Robert's view here. So let's see what he sees. And again, it starts out good. A great job checking up in his case, especially, I mean, he's not super far back. He's kind of in the middle of it.
Yeah, but he initially saw it, and then the wreck is just moving almost at speed. Comes in. I mean, this is the most minimal amount of damage you can possibly get. Yeah, you're absolutely right. He just gave a couple kisses. That's the worst moment right there, facing the wall. But hey, I guess it's a good thing. You don't really worry about the fact that, you know, there might be a tiny bit of damage there, and you're all good to go. He's totally fine.
Well, he did come into pit lane, unfortunately, so he's part of.
Fix it. Why not? You're already in the back
Yeah.
of the field.
Yeah, well, and that's what I was going to say. Roughly half the field came in on that one, so there was a lot of drivers that felt like they had to come in and get those repairs in hopes that they can finish this out. But poor Daniel Sullivan, Geyer, Eric Kulaga, Richard Pruitt, and Thomas Brindell all have meatball flags, so they unfortunately are probably going to have to sit in for quite some time before they can get back out on the track. 10 minutes left to go, so they have to hope that the required repairs are minimal here.
Yeah, not the best day for some of our known drivers in the playoffs. Alan Dice, of course, he's running in 22nd place. Actually, not 22nd, 24th, as you see in the pits involved in that incident. Dallas Sullivan, as we just talked about, way back in the field. I mean, those are your top two playoff runners right now. Steve Loving having himself a good day, apparently running third, while Kevin McCarthy not even in this race. Dalton Geyer, he's at least a lap down at this point. He was sitting fifth. Tom Macy not having himself a good day, but hey, it could get a little better. Macy was a lap down, remember, and he's putting himself in a better situation for a potential ending. So that is is a good thing, and really it's about the bubble. Who's going to have the potential to win here and put themselves into that round of 12 kind of on a walk-off? I mean, we look at Easter Day, right? We look at Robert Goff, who was involved just barely in that incident. They're right on the bubble. But you get another situation where Zach Panzarella, he's still, he's trying to stay on the lead lap. Don't know if that's going to happen with him with the damage. But you get Thomas Brendel, right? Like, he's a lap down. He's having a rough go. He might have to be in a win-and-you're-in situation next week. How for Golf, too? I mean, he is 2 laps down. This is not a good day for some of the drivers who needed a good day to stay alive in this round of 16.
And it looks like we are doubled up, so lights are out, and we're going to go back to racing here in a moment with only probably about 7 minutes left by the time we get to the start-finish line. Drivers will have precious few laps, only 8 most likely if they do get rolling and stay green here at the end. But you never know. We could get another yellow, so maybe it will wind up being important to be up at the front.
Means? I mean, 13 minutes was left when we went under yellow. That means around 6-ish minutes.
Yep.
Maybe a little bit more comes off. So if we don't get a caution in this first lap green, then we get a caution after that, race is over.
So it's go time now. You want to be the leading car. Expect the dynamic to change dramatically here. Who is going to be able to keep their truck up at the front? Who will do what it takes to try and do that? Will anybody try and wait patiently and see if we do get to the finish on the green, or is everybody going to be going 110% as the pace car now peels off into pit lane, coming up to the restart zone here? Karakov, once again, your driver leading the way. Going to have all of about a minute or so of racing before we hit that danger zone. Green flag is out, and we're on our way, already trying to lead. Matthew Karakov getting a nice little push there from Steve Loving.
You see some trucks still trying to catch up, some trucks not at full speed. I feel like that's going to be a big theme here. Everyone in that top 10, though, they have a shot to win this race, but they got to go now.
I'd say everybody on the lead lap has a shot to win this race, honestly. If you are one of the, let's see, we've got 28 drivers, I believe, on the lead lap, then you have a chance here up at the front. Though Karakov's doing a good job. He's getting a good push. Oh, but the 27's going to abandon him, and that may have been a bad decision because here goes the 94 of Starling. Going to leave him hanging out to dry.
3 wide in this sucker hole right now is Steve Loving, but has some potential help. The next flag will pretty much end the race. Oh, a big block down to the inside, trying to keep that momentum going. Loving is still staking it out there right there.
He's trying his best. It's 3 wide. He's, I think, using the side draft the best he can in this situation to try and get back to the front, but it looks like we might have a wreck. And indeed, they are absolutely wrecking in behind them. That is going to end this race. And Dylan Schmidt, who I think may have been at the start of it, is going to get a lucky escape to get away. Almost everybody behind, though, is looking like they are collected.
So one thing that is the ultimate downer of super speedway racing in a time session, you know, you get a caution with 6 minutes to go or less, race is pretty much over. There's no way they're going to get back to green flag racing here, meaning that Matthew Karakov is going to win. Karakov came into this race 9th in the playoff standings, and he's going to move into the round of 12 with that win.
Oof. Well, this kind of went close to how we were expecting there as they catch up to the pace car. Karakov still has to make his way around until we get to the checkers. Just got a little bit of an awkward bump coming into the corner. And as it often is with these things, a chain reaction just works its way backwards.
Yeah, it's, I mean, you're running wild, right? If you're in the lead in this kind of situation, it's not going to be, you know, that unfortunate if a wreck goes on behind you with 6 minutes to go. You're not upset at all. You don't have to race anymore. You're going to win this race.
So that was Dylan Schmidt, like I was mentioning, in the 92, who got the initial bump there and started to wiggle around, but did manage to get away with it in the end. Didn't see who that blue and white truck was that shot up to the outside and wound up getting kind of the worst of it. Looks like a lucky dog for Zach Austin as he goes by. And we've got a second incident where it looks like Jake Mackey may have been turned around. Oh, well, there's a little bump, and there's a second little bump. And does he hold on to it? He's off into the grass. Oh, magnificent save there.
Yeah, still a big loss of position, though, with no way to get it back.
Yeah, in this situation where there isn't any time for him to catch that back up, I'm sure he'll be frustrated, but at least he's going to be able to finish the race. And right now, based on what we saw from a couple other drivers, that's, I think, a big plus here as we head off into what I think is going to be the penultimate lap. One more look from above here.
Chain reaction. I mean, it's hard racing at the end. Big hits into that outside wall, but oh, and yeah, an engine blown right there, it sounds like, and the rest of the pack comes storming in. They know it doesn't really matter at that point. Just make it to the finish. How about Colton Easterday, man? Will finish 4th in this race. Easterday started in 28th. How about John Mankowski as well? Started 30th. Looks like he's going to finish 10th.
Yes, both of them doing a magnificent job out there. I think we've got Easterday's perspective of the wreck. Did he have to sneak through that? Oh, excuse me. We do not have that. Apologies. But he is in 4th. We've misunderstood. We have his camera actually here. So his real world driver's perspective, but not his in-car of the wreck. He was ahead of that incident. So as Easterday is going to get himself a nice 4th just outside of the podium positions. White flag should be flown here as they get ready to come around to that tri-oval in a second.
Yeah, we're going to go with probably a white flag here. You know, it's a shame. I really want to go back to a one-lap shootout or something. It's just not going to happen.
It's just the way the cookie crumbles. It's the nature of the beast in super speedway racing. And I think Karakov knew that. I mean, look at how quickly, Dylan, he tried his best to push well far ahead. I think he knew that it was imperative that he have track position at all times here, but just because of this risk, this very risk.
Yeah, it's extremely important, right? You want to try and get as far ahead as possible. You get into a situation where one lap pretty much ends the one caution, one mistake behind you ends the race. Hold on to that lead for dear life, because you don't know if you'll ever be able to get it back, if you'll ever have a chance of getting it back. So it actually is, it appears to be one, they're going to go, according to the pace car and the lights off, 1, 2, next time by green, but it's going to be checkered. So, they're just going to do a quick drag race to the line pretty much, and results are going to stay the way they are.
Yeah, I do believe I've seen this happen in PRL in the past, and you're right. They will be instructed to stay in line. They're not going to go double file. They will continue to pace across the finish line, and they won't change the order of the finish here. So while you might see that pace car peel in, this is the last lap of the race, so there won't be any more green flag racing. We'll head off to the Grand National Series shortly after this, but we'll obviously go through our results and hopefully get to talk to a driver or two in the interim.
You know what I've seen before, Joe? This is going to blow your mind. I believe it was a PRL Grand National race. A leader believed that they were the cause of the caution that led to this situation, right? Where we're going checkered flag right now while under caution. The leader was not the cause for the caution, but believed they were. So, coming down to the checkered, he decides he's going to go into the pits and just give up the lead because he didn't feel like he deserved it.
Oh, wow.
Could you imagine?
That's some serious sportsmanship right there.
It wasn't even his fault. He didn't get involved in the incident. He thought he did. But he did not. I was very upset for him and at him.
Yeah, he may have regretted it at the end, but, I guess we won't see that from Karakov because he's stayed out. He doesn't feel guilty about anything. And you can see we're going from the green to the checkers as the drivers slowly come across in a wiggle and celebration for the 0-0 as he takes the victory for race 2 in the PRL Truck Series. Well earned there, Matthew. He was up towards the front for most of this time, led a good chunk of the laps, and I'd say even if we hadn't had that yellow, he'd probably been in the hunt.
Yeah, he was in the hunt the entire race, so good for him. So
looks
results?
Like we, yes, have the results, so let's go through that finishing order here for this one. Matthew Karakov going to be your winner here today, as it is Garrett Austin finishing in second, Steve Loving in third, and Colton Easterday fourth. Nicholas Starling was in the fifth position, followed by Blaine Adams in sixth and Alex Hillman in seventh. Timothy Emmanuel was P8, Mike Witt ninth, and John Minkowski rounds out your top 10. Dylan Schmidt was 11th, followed by Stacy Hunter in P12 and Zach Panzarella in 13th. Then you've got Robert Gao in the 14th spot, Tom Massey in P15, and Edward Peltz in 16th. Alan Dice II wound up P17. He's followed by Philip Beaver in the 18th spot, Adam Schoen in 19th, and Stephen Kirby rounding out your top 20. Just a couple more cars on the lead lap. Traver, Martinez, Richard Pruitt, and Marty Calvert, with Dennis Faircloth there in 25th. Jake Maki, P26. And the last one on the lead lap is Christopher Tope. Brett Adams and Oliver Pettit did manage to see the checkered flag, but the others, unfortunately, were DNFs here at the end. Does look like we've got Colton Easterday ready to talk to us. So let's see how he felt about that climb up through the order and getting himself into a top 5 finish in the end, as we get ready to chat with the number 9 here. And Colton, congratulations on a top 5 finish out here today. Looks like you had to do a little bit of work to get up there. Did it end how you expected? Did you figure we'd get a late yellow there?
Yeah, it kind of went how I figured it was, but I kind of figured I'd be more a part of it. I'm glad that I wasn't. But I finished right where I hoped I would, so.
Well done up there. We know that these can always be a little bit of a crapshoot. Is this one of those situations where you're glad it's over, or do you really like getting to come to these super speedway races?
I like plate racing, mainly because I'm too slow to do well anywhere else. But there's always that chance that it can be a good race. And I think despite everything, this was a good one.
Well, again, well done for the top 5, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you over in Iowa.
Appreciate it. Thanks for everyone watching. Thanks to the Dinner Detective. I appreciate it.
Colton Easterday there, finishing 4th. Now we've got our winner as well. I believe Dylan has caught up with Matthew Karakov.
Yes, standing alongside with Matthew. You came into this race 9th in the PRL truck playoff standings. I mean, flat out 9th, 13 points up over the bubble. You put yourself into the round of 12 with this win. How elated are you with that?
Oh, it's awesome. I love Talladega. I knew once I saw Talladega on the circuit that I had a chance. I love restrictor plate racing. It just fits me really good.
Well, what is it about restrictor plate racing that fits you so well?
It's kind of hammered down. For me, I was telling my teammate Loving, it's like if I'm in second and I get wrecked, it's my fault. I want to be in first, want to be up there, stay away from all the carnage behind me. You gotta have the hammer down and want to be out there and leading the whole time.
Hammer down mentality for sure. You feel like if that race continued green the rest of those 5-6 minutes that we were under caution to the end, you still think you had a really good shot of winning that one?
No, absolutely not. Steve Loving, he's my teammate. He pushed me all the way, helped me out a lot, and he kind of got shook up there. And if I didn't have him behind me, then it would kind of been a mess. But yeah, I got to thank him, Steve Loving, for helping me out so much.
Well, Matthew, congratulations on the victory. We'll see you next weekend. Hey, we'll see you in the round of 12 as well.
Sounds awesome. And I wanted to thank Skyline Roofing for my sponsor. And this is all for CM Pennington. He doesn't get to do this now, so it's just so good to win.
Yeah, CM Pennington, of course, made such an impact on everybody in PRL racing. Always going to be a great memory of him.
For sure. Thanks, guys.
Of course, that was Matthew Karakov, the winner at Talladega in the PRL Truck Series. We got a few more people down there for interviews, but not sure if we got to get over to the Grand National server. We can do one more. How about that? Joe, Steve Loving would be a fun person to talk to.
Yes, we can chat with Steve here and see how he feels about how this race went. Steve, I believe 3rd place, if I remember correctly here. My timing and scoring got a little bit wound around here at the end. The number 27 truck, did it feel good out there? Did it feel like you could really hook up with people easily?
Yeah, it was a good race. I dedicated myself to be the pusher for the team rather than the leader. So, but yeah, a great win for Matt. We went out there. We had a mission to get something done, and we got it done. At the end, I was trying to make a slick move on catching a little draft and switching spots in front of them, but I got split in the middle, and that didn't really work. So I had to kind of tuck back in. But aside from that, I think it was a pretty good race.
Yeah, it certainly started out very clean. At the end, obviously, we got a yellows. Did you kind of anticipate that pattern?
Well, when you see the first one, you usually know second one's going to come. I looked in my mirror and I saw 1 or 2 trucks look like they're going to the hot dog stand. I was like, well, that's not good. So let off the gas a little bit. But the first one was timely. We were starting to think about strategy on pits and take 1 tank or 2 tanks of fuel, keep it under 10 gallons, whatever it's going to be. And caution came out and I was like, oh, I guess we'll just fill up. So that made it simple. And then the second one, at that point, we knew that it's going to be a timed race, and we're going to cut it close. So just make sure you keep your nose ahead of someone else.
Well, again, well done out there today, regardless. And like you said, being the pusher certainly seemed to work out well for you. So hope to see you over at Iowa, and best of luck. Yeah,
real quick, I just want to thank North Star Engineering, United Distributing, and All Metal as our sponsors on Team CPR, and also for the fans of CM Pennington. He's in our thoughts and prayers. So that race is dedicated to him. And obviously we miss our friend Hayden out there. He couldn't race anymore with us, but definitely thinking about him, and he would have been up there in the lead pack with us and potentially fighting for the win.
Wonderful thoughts there from Steve Loving, the number 27 here today at Talladega. And now we head off, of course, to Iowa Speedway next week for this series, but that's a week from now. Currently, we are going back again here to Talladega one more time for the Grand National Series. This should be fun to watch without a doubt. We already got a little bit of a taste of it with the drivers in the truck series, but let's take a look at the schedule here for the Grand National Series. And obviously, like I said, this is where things diverge a little bit. We're going to Charlotte instead of Iowa next week. Obviously, we were also at Texas last time out, so still the same for these first two rounds. Still have Vegas, Homestead, Martinsville for the following ones. But we'll see how the drivers do, especially those who try to take part in both events, if that is even trickier, having to practice for both of them. Let's take a look at the drivers' standings as well here. Dylan, like before, a bit of a case of, well, we've only had the one race, so don't have a true picture.
Yeah, and especially here with the Grand National Series, the top dogs are the ones that are not just the top dogs in Season 4, but in the full Season 1, 2, 3, and 4 playoff standings combined. Abner Acosta, Richard Regan Jr., these two drivers are 1-2 from the first race, 1-2 in the playoff standings. Jeff Evans, he's right there too. Jeff actually just moved to Greenville, South Carolina a couple months ago, so he's been enjoying his time down there so far, and he's hoping to capitalize on this good start to the season. Currently 4th in the playoff standings. There's not too many that are, in this picture that are really anywhere not at the top.
And of course, we also have the team's championship as well. And Whataback Overdrive currently up at the top. Whataback has often been one of the teams to beat. They've got Regan Bogue only 4 points behind. Looks pretty tight up there. Hypersport Racing back in third at 68 points, about 11 back from the lead currently. Whataback's sister teams, Back Row Racing, currently down in fourth. And they've even got a third one down there, Whataback Front Row, down in sixth position. Ironically, the lowest of the three. But obviously, like I said, there's still so much that can change around. We'll see if that happens here today. As it looks like we are into the qualifying also for the Grand National cars already out on track. But we've got Nick McLaughlin here in his 37, winding that car up to speed. I think looks like as he ducks down to the inside. I believe this is part of his first timed lap, and indeed it is. So he was trying to run high on that first lap, get it completely going, and now he gets right down to the bottom.
Yeah, down to the bottom here. I mean, what we saw with the trucks was they were hitting maximum speeds in the draft of around 185 miles per hour, somewhere maybe a little bit above that. Right here, Nick McLaughlin is now hitting 179 miles per hour heading into turn 3, so that's without the draft. These cars are definitely faster.
He's going to take a big old gulp of air and then hope that he can get a quicker time on this second one that'll help him through to the top spots in the grid. Again, we saw it seems to be somewhat important to try and be out of trouble. He is allowed to go down to the apron there on this qualifying lap to try and shorten it up. Second lap going to be a 54.1. That's only good enough for third, though, as Doug Evans and Jeff Evans are still ahead of him.
Yeah, just good enough for third. On Super Speedway, we were talking about it with the truck qualifying. It does take a certain level of finesse because the difference is thousands for the most part between top 5, top 10, whoever you want to call it. You got to get as smooth as possible, as down to the yellow line as possible. This is so far a pretty good lap, I think, from Lowendyke.
Yeah, Lowendyke has got himself on his second lap now, so he's going to try and stay low. Have to admit, I'm used to calling him over in GT racing, So seeing him here on the oval side of things is going to be a fascinating experience. Teddy has done some fun stuff when I'm commentating usually. Surprised he hasn't done anything with his webcam this time around. But as he comes through the tri-oval, yeah, it's looking good right now. 2/10 quicker than his previous lap. That's going to put him at a 54.1. And indeed, that jumps him up to 9th.
Yeah, it's a good lap, but I mean, look how close everybody is. You see that difference. The top 11 separated by just 100th, almost 100 thousandths. That's amazing. Richard Regan right now, he's got actually a really big gap over the rest of the field, which is not saying much. 20 thousandths, 200ths. That's a huge gap.
But Regan is usually very good over here
Anywhere.
in PRL. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure he's going to be a threat for the win. Thomas Sink now across the line, and well, he's going to be close. It's now 11 thousandths away from Regan and onto the front row, but he's the last one able to take a lap, as it looks like it's now time to go through our starting order. Richard Regan Jr. has grabbed the pole with Thomas Sink next to him in second, as Jeff Evans starts from P3 and Waylon Turner will be fourth. Abner Acosta, P5 for him, is followed by Doug Evans in the 6th position. Then you've got Nick McLaughlin, as we mentioned, has been shuffled down to 7th in the end. Patrick Cowgill will start in 8th. Bradley Hawley, watch out for him. That Texan is usually fast there. He'll start from 9th, just ahead of Ted Lowendick in 10th. Joey Tebben will be P11, and it is Mike Knight starting 12th.
Yeah, you got to watch out for that Joseph Tebben. It's very Christopher Buescher vibes right there by having Joseph be his iRacing name, and you know what? Let's call him that. Joseph Tebben. Reese Bogue starting in P13 with John Jones starting alongside on the outside of row 7. Colton Lane 15th, Adam Zemke in 16th, Nick Hunter in 17th, and that Hot Wheels 109 machine, the Whataback front row racing driver, alongside Regan Bogue developmental driver Nick Byer in 18th. Mark Kalin in 19th with Daniel 20th, excuse me. Dustin Scruggs in 21st, Matt Gagnon in 22nd. What a wonderful suit and tie he's got going on right there. Sean Powell in 23rd, and Tyler Justice in 24th. Oh yeah, the crown as well.
25th goes to Dakota Ehrman with Brett Bunkari in 26th. These are all drivers that did not set a time. Dominic Begin in the 27th position is followed by Ryan Dunkelberger in 28th. And it's Nick Silver, 29th, Stan Hammonds in 30th, Jim Westerfield, 31st, and Jacob Emery, 32nd. Slightly smaller fields, but this is where things get a little bit quicker, and the drivers will have that little bit more edge to them. You work your way up to this series. Then, of course, they have the Sunday Cup Series as well that they race, where you get the cream of the crop here on the oval side. But right now,
rise to the top.
Exactly. Right now, we're getting ready to watch the hopefuls working their way up with, of course, a few of the drivers that have definitely deserved their fair share of racing up at the top. I definitely saw some former champions in there. As we see the conditions, it is currently about 85 Fahrenheit on the track surface itself, 78 in the air, with not much wind, thankfully, to buffet these cars around. Considering how close they have to run, I'm sure they'll appreciate that as we head down the backstretch on the pace lap.
Yeah, it's actually interesting. The real world NASCAR Xfinity Series will not be racing this weekend at Talladega. The sim time is set for September 30th. Well, the Xfinity Series already went to their trip to Alabama this year with a pretty great race earlier in the year. It's just trucks and cup this time around. But hey, in the virtual world, we can go with the Grand National Series and the PRL here at Dega. And I think we're all better off for it.
50-minute race, this one. So a little bit longer than what we saw before, but still time limited. And that will mean we'll go right about close to sunset here. It's currently about 4:30 in the afternoon virtual standard time. And if we, when we get to the end of those 50 minutes, obviously it'll be close to 5:30. So drivers will just start to see the sun starting to come down towards the horizon as the pace car getting ready to dive in and give it over to Richard Regan Jr. Many wins in this series and other oval series as well here in the Precision Racing League. Regan going to take them up to that start zone as he's got sync to his outside in that number 48. There is the green flag, and we go racing for round 2 of the Grand National Series. While the front of the field stays 2 by 2, Ted Lowendick has dropped to the back almost immediately and decided he does not want to be in the middle. So he's trying to find his way down as he rides the outside. Looks like a couple others are starting to do similarly. So Teddy not interested in being in the thick of things, apparently, as they get ready to end lap 1. Sink's getting a good push here. I think that's Waylon Turner just behind him in the 50s, the 42 rather. That's given him a nice little shove. And, well, he's going to abandon his friend immediately and jump in with Regan.
Something to keep in mind here is that the pole award winner gets 2 bonus points in this race. It's not like Richard Regan Jr. needed any more bonus points. He's already, of course, in that top 2 of the playoff competitors right now and the Season 4 competitors along Abner Costa. But, hey, 2 points is 2 points.
We fly through 3 and 4 now. Again, pretty orderly for the most part from what I'm seeing. Drivers are just kind of getting settled in. Was a bit surprised that Thomas Sink immediately abandoned that top line and got in with Regan Jr., but they're probably already had some agreements to work together.
Yeah, a little bit of an agreement for sure. I'm sure of, and that all goes out the window, though, once the time goes down, right?
Yes, exactly. Drivers will have to watch out carefully here and make sure to pay attention to that time. So different from usual. Usually you just keep track of the laps and know when you're getting close, but here the cautions can completely change that around, and you could run out of time before you know it. As we come around through the second half of the lap once again, Wayne Turner now, as he's been ditched, is going to try and see if he can get to the front, getting some help from the 41 of Doug Evans.
Yeah, trying to get some help right now. Evans is, of course, in that green 41 machine. You know what vibes it gives me, that 41 machine with the green and purple? It gives me, I don't know why, but Scooby-Doo vibes.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can totally see why. And, as he's riding the top side there in that 41. He's got the 68 of Mike Knight just behind him. There you see Doug Evans, another one of those Whataback Racing drivers. Still trying to give a good push to our leader in the 42 of Waylon Turner. He's going to be able to lead just momentarily. Not a whole lot of meaning here. Just trying to get the track position, other than maybe leading the most laps, which I think is also a bonus point. It might be incorrect on that, but I'll double check there in a second.
Right. It is 1 bonus point. Actually, why don't I just tell everyone what the bonus points are?
There we go.
2 bonus points for pole position, but you also get 1 bonus point for the most laps led. Every driver who leads a lap gets another 1 bonus point. Here's a cool thing that is totally an indication of skill and skill alone. The fastest lap during any race gets a bonus point, which of course at Talladega means the leader will not get that at any point in this race. It's the driver who has the biggest gap between them and the cars in front, who is still within the draft uninterrupted, that will get that point. The race winner will also receive 5 bonus points. Race winner gets 42 plus those 5 bonus points. Plus they definitely led a lap, so race winner at least gets 48 points by the time things are all said and done.
Well, across the line, Ooh, bit of a drop up to the high side there from Richard Regan Jr. hooking up with the 42. And now we got another car trying to make it 3 lanes. The 41 of Doug Evans, but no one's going with him.
Yeah, Jeff Evans, of course. I believe Doug is Jeff's father, so he's kind of left out to dry. Nothing he can do to help there.
Jeff's on the bottom. He's actually second in line on the lowest row currently, so he's not able to really get up to there to the high side to help him out if he even wanted to. 41's going to pay the price. No room at the end quite yet. He has to wait for a nice wide opening, and that might not be for many, many positions back.
Yeah, he's going to try and get something going on right now. Yep, there you go.
He's either lucky or somebody was very kind to him. That was just in front of the, that's the 109 of Nick Hunter.
That someone was kind.
Yes, exactly. Someone was watching out. Could have been a teammate, of course, as team racing, team play in super speedway racing, just really its own thing in comparison to every other form of racing.
For sure. By the way, thank you to everyone watching on RaceSpotTV, your source for some of the best iRacing productions, leagues, broadcasts around. You can always catch us on our YouTube channel. We got live streams of broadcasts going on pretty much every single day, and almost every night you'll also get some PRL weekly racing action. Doesn't matter if it's a GT series, an oval series, you're gonna get something almost every night, so make sure to subscribe. And hey, we also check the chat, so if you want to say anything right now, please say something. Just give a PG, please, or not, we'll just delete it.
Well, it looks like, got a bit of a opening there on the bottom underneath Mike Knight in the 68. He's not going to fill in the gap, though. He'll let the 51 come forward and try and get up to the back of the 48 of Thomas Sink now. So there goes that opportunity if he wanted to hit the bottom. The good news is for everybody is that nobody had to start from pit lane this time like we saw before. So we have no drivers who are a lap down. That said, does look like a few have dropped back to single file, but nobody has dropped the main pack.
Yeah, no one has dropped that main pack, which is going to be very important as this race goes on. But, I mean, if you're a driver like Brett Pancari, you got to make sure you do not fall back from any pack, because if you lose the draft, you're getting lapped in 10, 15 laps time. I mean,
Yeah, exactly. It's if you don't have a partner, then you're just basically, without a paddle up a certain creek. So as here we are on the onboard. For a second, I thought he wasn't holding the wheel, but I think he was holding it with his other hand, and now he's switched hands. So very relaxed, Brett Pancari, and trying to use the inspiration of the blue blur to find some speed at the fastest track on NASCAR's schedule. As you can see him at times looking off to the side, either at some timing and scoring, or maybe just checking another monitor to see who's next to him on track. But riding towards the back of the field currently in that 19 car.
Yeah, just hanging around right back there, as Terry Radford said, and one of our broadcasters here with RaceSpotTV, and in more colorful words, Brett's got a lot of stuff in the background there. Lots of interesting things to look out in his view. This is a intense battle so far, as we got some 3-wide action.
Yeah, that's farther in the back. Someone jumping up to the high side, trying to make out who that is. And I think, looks like that's Daniel Knight. Currently sitting in 16th position, make that 15th, as he is making good inroads here. This is despite not having anybody pushing with him. He's actually making progress forward.
Hey, Jacob Emery currently sitting with that 1 point bonus point right now. And to give you a funny moment, Emery's back, just getting into 28th place right now.
And behind him, here we go, the 109 of Nick Hunter is now jumping to the high side. The 68 is trying to move up to the top row. There's a few people who like the look of this.
This isn't going to last for long, I'm telling you. Yeah, there's a lot of room to go 3 wide, but no one has seemed patient enough to just stay single file or 2 wide in this race. I mean, they were thinking of 4 wide. This is going to be disastrous before it's beneficial to anyone who's trying to make it 3 wide. If you're not in the top 10 currently, which is just double file right now, you're going to be in for a rough time. Nick Hunter and company are already falling back.
Yeah, well, that's because Knight dropped them. As soon as they joined him, he saw an opening and said, bye, guys, thanks for the help. And he is now up to 12th position with that move. So, yeah, they certainly seem to be struggling to try and push forward as easily as he did. That's Knight and Hammonds who are still up on the top side there, running that 3 wide line.
Good racing so far. I'm liking it. You know, we always see some good racing here when the time situation, you know, at least in the beginning, right? These drivers know the situation. They don't want to race too hard, too quickly. Once we get later on, though, it's that double-edged sword of you don't want to push too hard, but if you don't, and a caution comes out, you have no chance of moving forward. But if you do, the chances of the caution coming out are much higher. So you don't really have that worry right now. So you're trying to make up moves, trying to make up positions in the ways that you can. The aggression, it's picking up already, and we're still going 3 wide here in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, Daniel is once again moved to the high side. Going to see if he can do it once again, but a couple other cars are going to jump in front of him. That looks like Gagnon, I think, along with Bayer. So are they going to get some help, or is the 17 going to try and ditch them as well and maybe just kind of fool everybody into trying to work with him and then take their spot in line? Nope, he's going to go with them.
Joe, I don't like this. I really don't. This is getting uncomfortable.
I think they can handle the 3 wide. This is a much wider track than Daytona. And that top line is moving now. Bayer has got a good push. He's riding all the way up against the wall here. And he's actually up to 4th position already.
Yeah, it is wider than Daytona. And the thing that worries me is that all lanes seem to be competitive. So you're going to see some more shuffling going on. I know 3 wide is common here. It's a big track.
Almost 4 wide, and now 4 wide is definitely going to get a little bit dangerous. I saw the eNASCAR series doing that, but that's also an incredible caliber of driver off in that series. But does look like dropping a little bit back. Bayer is now losing some time as the middle row tries to get its stuff together and see if they can push forward. In fact, the 42 of Waylon Turner going to try and return to the front.
Trying to return to the front right now, and he's doing a pretty good job running what is the outside line if we're talking about the front 2 rows, but the middle line, if this 3rd line still gets that momentum, it is getting momentum. Oh, we're almost going 4 wide there. Moves are happening.
Yeah, Bayer has to watch out. He just about lost the push there of, I think that's Gagnon still behind him, yeah, in the 14. Oh, and he brushes the wall. Everybody's going to have to check up here. And the 68 thinks about sticking with him. He is going to stick with him. This means that Gagnon's going to be able to carry on, but he has no one to help. He drops back. All the other 3 drop completely to the tail end. And that was a dramatic moment that could have been so much worse, but there goes the 3 wide. No, it definitely petered out fast.
Yeah, I feel like they're uneven right now. They're trying to look for every advantage they possibly can, and already going back 3 wide up front.
Yeah. I think there's definitely positions to be gained there. 17 is once again leading the charge. Daniel Knight wants to be up at the front. No surprises there. He's also a former winner in this series. 41. Oh my goodness. Look at the Scooby-Doo car. Unfortunately, just heading backwards. He had help from the 17, and then it just disappeared. As some of those drivers involved before are starting to come back. Nick Bayer, despite brushing the wall, seems to have gotten things back together and is hooking up.
Yeah, and they're going to have to keep it moving. Remember, we're not even halfway through this race. We still got 35 minutes to go. The truck race, there's not even 5 minutes into it at this point. So it's going to get a little bit hairier before it calms down, I think. I don't think it's going to be as calm as it was already in this race, and it hasn't been calm.
And look at Turner there. He just jumped from the top to the bottom with a quickness ahead of Regan. So he is going to take the point on the bottom line. Does he feel like that is the place to be? Because I will say it doesn't seem like the second line is as fast lately. But as we check in with Jeff Evans and his onboards, he's currently sitting fourth in line on the bottom. He's kind of boxed in with no place to go.
Yeah, trying to make it work, though, too. Jeff Evans focused as can be. I mean, top 5 is nothing to slouch at, but that can change rapidly. There's a lot of movement above him, too, on the outside.
Well, and we haven't seen pit stops yet, so at what point will they have to give it up and come in? Because they'll obviously have to take fuel to make the full 50 minutes on this one, and if it stays green all the way to the end, then at some point they're going to have to dive into the pit lane. Didn't get to see those green flag stops over in the trucks, but here in the Grand National cars, will they be able to make it, especially with how frantic things have been getting so far in this race? And we've got a blinker and Dunkelberger. Oh, that is horrible bad news.
Yeah, that's not fun at all. Dunkelberger is back in the picture. But for how long? When you're up front and you're in the midst of this big group right here, blinking is going to be the most dangerous thing possible.
Bad internet connection can disrupt not just your race, but everybody's race in a super speedway. And the stewards have at times called drivers out for that. So watch out. If he has another big blink, he might be in trouble. They fly down the backstretch once again, looking a lot more too wide this time. So they've had their fun. Looks like everybody's trying to once again tick off the laps.
Yeah, just trying to tick off the laps. I don't know if that's exactly what it is. I think it's just all right, let's get reset here. I think if they have an opportunity to go 3 wide and move up, I don't think they care about the fact that they want to reset it and tick off the laps. They're going to go as hard as they can right now. That's what we've seen. Yes, it's single file on the inside almost the entire way back, and there is a double file situation going on right now, but it's not deep. It will, though, very soon.
Yeah, but look at the difference in the lines here. You go down to, that's Joseph Tebben in the 06 car. He sits in 19th, and he's the start of the single file after the double file there. So that means you've only got, at most 10 cars on that high line, and it's far less than that because it definitely looks a lot more spread out than that bottom line. They're going to have to get organized.
Going to have to certainly get organized. It'll happen in due time. Things happen quickly here at Talladega. It's almost like it's in slow motion when you're behind the wheel, right? Things are happening slowly, and then all of a sudden it happens quick. It's just waiting around, biding your time. You see an opportunity, and you go for it. We're already starting to get a little bit tighter here up front.
Still all 32 on the lead lap, and all 32 are with the main pack as well. We haven't seen any splits. Very impressive here in this first 20 minutes of the race, getting ever closer to that halfway mark. And still no takers on pit stops. Our leaders could maybe pit and stay on the lead lap, but I certainly wouldn't want to take that risk. I think it's going to be a case, Dylan, of everybody going as long as they've got fuel in the tanks.
Yeah, for sure. You think we'll make it that way? 35 laps, maybe? We're getting close, but I don't know. I feel like, especially when pit stops start, that can lead to catastrophe, just trying to get into the pits.
Well, Zoinks, the 41, tried to go 3 wide again, but it didn't work.
You absolute beauty for saying it that way.
Listen, this is my job. as Doug Evans falls backwards to 15th, unfortunately. But he looked like he wanted it again, and he was part of that third line for quite some time. But nobody was willing to go, unfortunately, with Doug. So back he slips into the second lane and tries to collect Stan Hammonds there in the 55, who's the next one forward. Currently still not all that organized on the top line. They are so far dispersed from one another compared to what you can see at the bottom. In fact, some of them not even in the line, it looks like.
Yeah, some of them just trying to make it work and get back in line. I mean, man, we're almost halfway through this race. You feel like the domino hasn't fallen yet. That's going to set everything off.
Definitely not. I think we are still waiting for the first one to be tipped over, and then everybody's going to have to make their move, whether that be avoiding the wreck in front of them, or maybe trying to push forward to the front, or maybe it's coming in for that pit stop. We'll see what it winds up being. Only time will tell as we come across the tri-oval once more, getting ready to now start lap 25 of this race. At some point, something's got to blow. Oh, we do have pitters. Dominic Bejin, Scruggs is in. Looks like Punkari pits. And we missed Powell, Justice, and Ehrman have all pitted on a previous lap.
That is an interesting move.
Ehrman's
Stay on the lead lap. I don't know if that's going to happen. I mean, hey, if a caution comes out and you stay on the lead lap, so someone like Brett Punkari, he was running in the back. He wasn't having the strongest race. He's going to come out of the pits now. He's most likely going to get lapped here. He will get lapped here. But if he can stay on the lead lap some way, somehow, if he can force himself into the front of this pack, and these cars don't pass him, and caution comes out, and they haven't come down the pits yet, they will cycle out to the lead. Interesting strategy call right here.
Also, Ehrman, unfortunately, did not make the pit entry safely, so he was given a black flag, had to sit in his pit stall for nearly a minute. Looks like Bejin did the same, so he's also now a lap down. That's our first two drivers not on the lead lap, but who will respond in what is a very scattered group that is pit between Punkari and Powell. Looks like also Tyler Justice. They are now starting to team up, but they are a very ragtag group of maybe only 3, maybe 4 if they join with Ehrman.
I mean, it's not too long before the rest of this group pits, so they might have planned this out pretty perfectly if you're a driver like Punkari. This might work out into their favor if a caution comes out before the rest of the field comes down to pit. I mean, yeah, Punkari and the rest would cycle out to the front. I kind of like it.
Well, they hope they'll cycle out to the front. They have to work together very hard. 51.3 for Powell, who's leading this group last lap, whereas Turner ran a 51.1. So they're still 0.2 faster behind him. I think they're going to be losing some time. They almost have to hope for a caution because they may have actually lost touch with this group unless they can actually pick up the pace. Now, the leaders are not pitting, it looks like this time, so they're going to carry on.
Yeah, drivers starting to get down to the bottom lane, so that's the thing. You want to come off turn 4, you want to be on the bottom. If you're on the outside trying to come down to the pits, you better hope that everybody on the inside is coming down to the pits too. If not, they're getting steamrolled.
They might still. Last lap was a 51.5 for them. 51, another easy 51.1 for a leader of the lead pack. So Powell and co are just losing time lap after lap. They still have Bejin behind them. Punkari and Scruggs are starting to join. So they're getting more, but here we go. Here is the pit stops for the majority of them. Is anybody going to overshoot it? It looks like Turner does. That's going to be a penalty, and he almost spins back in front of the pack who are trying to avoid him there in pit lane. He's not going to get hit, But not only is he going to suffer the penalty, but he had to wait patiently for the pit lane to clear before he could even move.
Yeah, that's a potential race ender right there. He's going to have to hope he just goes one lap down, nothing more, and a caution comes out. And, I mean, even in that case, you got Dakota Ehrman and Dominic Beijing, they're a lap down. They're going to fight for the free pass with him. So it's going to be an interesting one here.
Richard Regan Jr. comes out ahead with Sink behind him. Let's take a look at both of our entries that we know for sure were messed up. We missed the first one. Whoa, before we get there, though, that is definitely not a safe entry. Kalen with a pirouette. It wasn't quite as graceful, I think, as a Russian, but unfortunately, it's going to cost him a penalty as he comes down into pit lane and is actually overshot his pit stall by a huge margin and has to pull back in. Now we've got the replay on what happened to Ehrman, so let's look at him first.
Lots of pit road mistakes going on. Ehrman just overshoots it, locks it up, does not hit the cone, but I mean, comes on, of course, an unsafe pit entry. We've got more cars coming down into pit lane. Nick Silver, the rest of the group. John Jones currently leading this race. This top 7, I believe they're all going to come down right here. You better hope you get those brakes on, some lockups, but so far, so good getting into the pits. Pretty clean right there.
Exactly, yes. Well done to all of them. Don't need those tires anymore. They can lock them up as long as they don't go over the pit speed limit. And there's the yellow flag. What timing. What absolute timing for this group.
Oh, no.
And it is a big wreck here on the backstretch, it looks like.
Bedlam. Bradley Holly involved. I mean, this is a big mess on the backstretch. And the way it happened was absolutely inexcusable once we see it. It was Mike Knight, and the cars who pitted last, they're going to benefit the best. They're going to come out in the lead of this race. Mike Knight just... we'll have to watch it. This is a brutal look.
I'm trying to remember
trying to rush it out of the pits.
I'm trying to remember the name, of the driver that tried to return up the lane.
Evan LePage.
Yes, he LePaged everybody right there. Thank you.
Yeah, less of a LePage, more of just a lost control. LePage just said, hey, this is unclear, right?
Well, yeah. And I'm sure Knight feels pretty sheepish. I mean, he's been in this series for some time. And like you said, it wasn't him diving up in front of them. He simply lost control. Let's watch it from above. You can see it much better. The banking and him trying to maximize his exit just bit him. And he didn't mean to do it, but, sorries don't bring those cars back out on track quickly.
If they did...
there would be way more sorries in the chat, I'm pretty sure.
There would be a lot of sorries, a lot of claimed cautions, and a lot of please don't be the ones that ruin my race or this person's race. Racing's more fun when there are grudges.
Wow.
What is
the incredible timing of that last pit? What happened to our front runner with Mark Kalen having his pit penalty here. So here we go. Oh, we got help. Big help. So he did a beautiful job trying to keep that from becoming worse. But to be fair, he kind of slowed down in a bit of an unsafe space.
Yes. But you know what I want to do? Joe, I'm just going to put...
Dance all night long?
Well, yeah, I want to, dance,
Sorry. Go ahead.
You got to dance. If you don't dance all night long, then what do you really do? Anyway, how about we bring in Joseph into the booth? He's available for a moment.
Yes, absolutely. Joey
Joseph!
Tevin.
Hello.
You were about to just speak to RaceSpot's favorite drivers, but what were you going to say?
Well, I was getting lost in the beautiful eye on the back of Ted's car, first and foremost, but also, we're just trying to figure out where to do, because we got extremely lucky there. We both decided to stay out. I got lucky that I didn't get any damage from Mark braking in front of me either, and somehow we went from, I think I was like 18th and Ted was 27th, and now we're 3rd and 4th.
I love your 06 times New Roman machine, by the way. This is the first time I'm getting a clear look at the primary. It's wonderful. You
Thank you.
You got that eye looking at you. Is that intimidating?
It's very intimidating, and the most intimidating thing is that the entire race we've had purple people eaters stuck in our heads. It's just like you can't race against a guy when you're just saying one-eyed, one-horned. It gets stuck. It's an earworm.
This is true. And just so we know, so we're clear, we were talking about dancing all night long, but are you ready to dance on your own?
I mean, what a feeling when we're dancing on the ceiling. That's what I'm feeling right now. I got the eye in the sky in front of me. You want another musical reference?
Are you going to be dancing by yourself?
I might be dancing by myself. I'm lucky we're not dancing in the moonlight, because, like Bob Pockris knows, no lights at Talladega. Dancing in the dark, another one.
Yeah, that's true. Just Dance.
Come dancing. We're gonna get copyright striked.
Oh goodness. I mean, we're not singing it in the tone, Joseph. By the way,
I can't do that.
It's very Christopher Busher right now. Joseph Devin.
Blame iRacing for that one.
You think you can get this win, bud?
I mean, that's a good question at Talladega. I have no clue. I didn't expect to be up here in the first place, so I'd give it less than 100% and more than 0% chance.
Comic Sans is the chances I give you, not Times New Roman or Ariel. Okay.
That could be a curse. Papyrus. I mean, that's relevant at least.
I just hope you don't go into a corner, watching them race. Whoa. They're right over there.
Yeah. I think you lost me on that one, Dylan. My Shazam abilities have fallen.
Man, come on. Go Phillies. Red October. I'll see you, Joseph.
Okay, there we go. You brought it back.
All right. Take care, buddy. Best of luck. Starting on the outside, second row.
Adios.
Regardless, you two, I won't dance. You can't make
We're
me,
Philadelphians,
so.
man. We're wild.
Okay. They're already lined up and ready to go. And like they were just talking about, we have a new cast of characters up at the front of the fields. And the first drivers on the different pit strategy is Thomas Sink back in 7th. He could easily get back to the front here with them if he wants to push his way forward. But will he, or is he going to sit back there on the 4th row and just let this race come to him? We're now past the halfway mark of this race, and we get ready to start off once again. John Jones and Sean Hammonds, your top two, here to kick things off as we get ready for the signal, approaching that start zone. They're in it now, and there it is. Green flag is out as they start to pick up speed. Ooh, the 55, very strong in this restart.
Tebin, he got out a little bit too in front, but hey, 24 came up real quickly behind him with Nick Silver being that 24 machine, so pretty orderly so far for the top 10.
Yep, they're getting up to speed, not seeing a lot of switching around at least. They're all still kind of spooling up. Watch out for Daniel Knight, too. Remember the 17 and the way he liked to make that third line go? Well, he's now sitting in 9th position.
Yeah, sitting at 9. This race is kind of turned on its head a little bit, don't you think? I mean, this is those pit stops, that pit cycle, it's so hard to get out of there without a caution. And we had spins, right? We had spins every time. Trouble for at least one driver. And it took until that last group of pitters came in for a caution to come out. And it was on the backstretch with the car coming out of the pit. So, very interesting. How many more cautions do you feel like we got in this race?
I'd say we probably got at least 2 more in this thing.
Oh,
but we'll see.
Wide.
Oh, look at that 24.
Devin is leading. Oh!
Yeah, here goes Nick Silver, though. There's the high line as the 55 is stuck in the sucker hole, and he drops like a rock. Hammonds has no friends in there. We have 3 lanes, but really the middle one is a party of one, unfortunately. Now he's finding a little bit of space, and he is actually nudging the 35 out high and he doesn't fall too far back, but that had to be a nerve-wracking moment.
This is nerve-wracking. Look at that. The right side of your screen, you get 3 wide, and they got momentum for days. Oh, almost went 4 wide, a little bit of uncomfortability. Oh, there's a car blinking. Man, this is whoa.
And up at the front, Silver's dropped to the bottom after he got pushed, so he's gone in front of Joseph Tebben. There you can see him on your screen in the red and white, just in front of the white car of the 06. Oh, big jump.
No,
that's a bad push.
Tebben,
Joey's going to get hit, and more cars pile in. This is the big one.
The massive one. I don't know. I feel like Tebben's going to be okay. He just lost his rear bumper, but no big damage to his engine, which is the most important thing here at Talladega. Not everyone is as lucky. John Jones. Oh, goodness. That was just a bad break.
I think Jacob Emery has not made too many friends on that one. He was the one that dove up to the top, got the bad push, and it sent him backwards into everybody else. He actually carried on. Knight got into it, looks like. Thomas Sink was involved. Let's see who else. Looks like Jim Westerfield.
See, I can't blame him too much for going up top. I think there is a little bit of self-preservation. You got to know that the speed difference is really high. You shouldn't be... I wouldn't even call it a block. You know, he was just going up to the lane. If it was a late block, I'd call it out. It wasn't that late. They had time to react, but they just didn't, and they just kept driving at the same speed. I almost feel like it was the third in line at the point that Emery went up high. That just kept that accordion together.
So, okay, let me ask you a question then. Put yourself in the shoes of the car behind Emery. Would you still feel this way? Or would you blame him?
Oh, I'd blame him all day.
Exactly.
Well, it's funny. So I'll tell you one thing. I was sitting around at the hotel this past weekend. As we see a replay right here. Here is the move. I'll tell that story in a bit. That's not a late block, but
it's a little late to me.
It's not terribly late. You had time to react.
That was
getting late into a run.
So we obviously have a difference of opinion on that one. So because 15 minutes left, there's still quite a bit of racing to go. To pull a move like that, I feel like that was a little ambitious.
Yeah, but to just keep it going full throttle. I mean, I don't blame, as we see some cars down pit road. I don't blame, you know. I'm trying to see exactly. I don't blame the 6 car right there too much in Tyler Justice. If there's anyone that I kind of am like, pull out of the throttle a tiny bit, 78 of Dakota Yearman. But even then, and you know what? I'll say this too. Dakota Yearman was a lap down, and he was still
this is a good point.
He was a lap down, so I don't know. So we're gonna ride with Joseph Tebben. We'll see exactly what happened. He almost got away with it.
Yeah, so close to catching the car, and this is going to be such a blind side too. I'm willing to bet. Yeah, he had no idea.
Yeah, but the good thing is he got lucky, right? Like I think he gets hit maybe one more time, but no, not even. He's fine. He's good. Get some damage repaired on that back end. I mean, RPMs are going to be high. There's no worry there.
He's 20th right now, but he's also in pit lane taking some repairs. So apparently, it did give him a bit of a hit that damaged the bodywork, but otherwise, I have to imagine the car is okay. Looks like Scruggs and Sink did get black and orange flags though, so they're probably out of it.
So, you know what I was saying last weekend in Fort Worth, Texas, I was sitting with the crew chief for Daniel Hemrick. And a few other, guys on the crew. We were kind of talking about the race at Bristol where Hemrick was leading, for the majority of the final bit of the race, the final third of the race. And fortunately for us at College Racing, Justin Allgaier caught up, and then Daniel got held up by some lap traffic, who kind of picked the lane that maybe he shouldn't, being, a campus partner. And it's whatever, but... he stayed up high. That was Hemrick's line, who was the leader, and Allgaier was able to get by and finally make the pass with like 11 laps to go and blow by. And I'm saying to myself, you know what? I understand the position. You don't want, a driver who's on that bubble to win, potentially, making it harder for you to move into the next round if you're that lapped car. But at the same time, it's kind of a situation where, well, look at it from our position, look at it through their position. It's
Yeah, absolutely.
so
All right.
funny thing.
We're watching Richard Regan. So he's going to get through this, we understand. Oh, he gets hit from behind. Saves it. And somehow doesn't hit anybody. Whoa!
Wow.
Great heads up. Fantastic work. And where does that put him? He is currently P14. So he gets away lucky. Obviously, didn't get away completely clean because he lost a few positions trying to save the car, but he's still in it. He's still on the lead lap.
So, we are going to have around, if we get green flag race for 4 laps here, for 4 laps, maybe 5 laps, definitely 4. And then a caution comes out later, right after that. Same situation as the truck race. End of race.
Exactly. So it is starting to get to be go time once again. By the way, we're talking about those drivers who lucked out in the pit stops. Well, there's other drivers involved that managed to take advantage of that yellow. If you look at the positions gained, 28 up for Nick Silver, our leader. Started this in 29th. Unbelievable stuff for him. Also 28 up for Jacob Emery, who started in 32nd position. In fact, the top 4 are all started 24th or below on the grid. So this just goes to illustrate the point we always say. You do not need to start at the front to try and take a win at a super speedway race. Here we go. Another restart. Will we manage to go green to the finish? As there it is, green flag is out. Nick Silver gets on the loud pedal, flanked by Tyler Justice to his outside.
This finish is going to be intense. Look at the positions gained for some of the top runners. I cannot wait to see what happens here.
Looks like that top line is hooking up very, very fast. The 55 of Stan Hammonds getting right to pushing, and somebody in the background there jumping to the high side. That looks like Abner Acosta. No shock there. Abner very fast here on the Oval Series, various Oval Series in PRL. Ooh, we got a couple in the third lane there for a second. Is that the 4 and the 56? Reese Bogue and Richard Regan Jr. and the 41 joins them. Doug Evans loves that high side.
Ruh-roh. This is going to be interesting. Oh, big block. Now that's a bad block right there.
The 42 is going to get away with it, ironically. So Waylon Turner, who was certainly caught out. Actually, wasn't he involved in one of those incidents earlier?
So big wiggle in the middle. Still hold it. Hold it, son. Keep it going. You do just that. Yeah, this is wild racing right here.
It's 3 wide once again. And the 72, top of the middle line, dropping backwards. Does he try to cut down? He's got a big opening on the bottom lane if he wants it, but no. Oh, no, there he goes. Teddy Lowendick is now going to be able to get into there. And he tries to push forward on Nick Hunter. Almost a tiny little breakaway in that top group. Bottom lane is looking very good, but Ted's going to get back to the middle.
We're coming to that end point. They're wrecking. Oh, big wreck coming right now. A spin through the tri-oval. The 20 in the grass, right up into the wall.
No yellow. Nobody behind him. He's going to get the car going. And that was off the racing line. Everybody else held it together. He's not going to be happy about that one. Still, Stan Hammonds is your leader. 6 minutes left to go. We're creeping closer to that point of no return.
Hey, I'm just saying, Tebin has went back up into the top 10. Anyone can still win this race if you're on the lead lap right now. If you're within the top 20, you can win this race. Get the replay there.
Oh, that is real unfortunate. Just shoved down into the grass. So hard to stop the car in that situation. It just kept going, and eventually he found the wall. Now he's just got to try and limp home from here. There's a couple cars looking below the yellow line in the tri-oval as well.
I mean, next flag ends the race, right? There's a caution. It ends it. Aggression levels are high. We're 3 wide for the lead through turn 1 and 2.
Up on the high side, I think that is Abner Acosta. They've got Bradley Hawley there in the middle. He's back in it. I think he was involved in some of that wreck there that we saw that initially slowed things up. So, wow, I'm kind of impressed at the number of drivers that have gotten back in it. The 4 getting wobbly back there. Reese Bogue then put some space between himself and the rest of them. That's going to settle it out a little more. Down to 5 minutes left. At this point, it is indeed the point of no return. They've got to stay green or else it's over. Silver's your leader.
Silver leads, but Hammonds is right there, wiggling, trying to find some space as Bradley Holly. Everyone looking for some room. Silver comes down to the inside.
And Holly, I think, nearly, no, excuse me, that was actually Sean Powell that nearly lost the car as he got a little bit loose. The 6 is going to jump up high in the 55 too.
Oh man, outside that third line crunches up the accordion effect. Silver has to go down to the bottom. There is a lap car in front of them. Will that play a factor? Will they get there? Still 3 wide for the lead of this race.
The 55 left him, and now he comes right back to see if he can join him. Oh, big bump, and now that starts another wreck. This is going to end it. Who will get the win? It's going to be so close as so many pile in.
I think it's Tyler Justice in the 6 machine.
It is indeed. He's being scored as the lead car ahead of Hammonds, and that must have been by the tiniest of margins as they were 3 wide when that wreck happened. I'm checking, and yeah, that was looking like less than a foot between himself and the 55 when that yellow was thrown. Tyler Justice, by a miracle, is going to take this one to victory lane.
Amazing. I'm trying to get the exact moment that the yellow came out just to see that gap. And we're going to see a replay of that wreck right here. I mean, it was a matter of time, right? Just a matter of time. Everyone wrecks. Goodness me. Just wild stuff going on. And the difference between Justice and Stan Hammonds, I mean, so minimal. But at the time of caution, Justice is in by a whisker. A literal 3 feet, maybe.
So Nick Hunter was the first one that kind of bobbled around in that and then started to hit somebody else in the 109. For those curious, and I mean, take your pick. There's so many other cars involved in it. So you had plenty to choose from. Let's take one more look at it. Did anybody make it through? Oh, unfortunately, the Scooby car did not. So 24, that's Nick Silver. And he was the one that had that hip check. He wound up down on the apron. That actually worked out extremely well for him. Trying to see, I think, did Richard Regan? Yeah, Richard Regan had an absolute Moses moment. If we want an amazing onboard, the 56 car just, I wouldn't say he kept his foot in it, but man, it's as though it was made for him. Watch this. Here comes the wreck. And open seas. Unbelievable.
So while we still have a couple minutes left, this is going to be race over. Just a wild finish right here, and I'm still amazed by that difference. You know, that difference in terms of you know, between Justice, between Stan. Wow. Neither of those drivers, by the way, are in this playoff fight. So no one's going to automatically advance into the round of 12. The only driver who has so far is Abner Acosta. I mean, everybody else is going to advance basically based on points. We're going to get a replay here, I think. Here is what's going on. So we're gonna start it here, maybe a little bit more. If we can fast forward just a bit more, and I'll say keep going a little bit more. Let's go, hold on, and one more, a little bit more right there. and we go to the lead with Justice and Hammonds. This is the moment the caution came out.
There it is. Wow.
Justice is in the lead just by a whisker. We're trying to find the right angles here.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good
The
one.
blimp is going to give us the best idea, but yeah, we mentioned it before. There's less than a foot between the noses of the cars. So that's the difference that gave Tyler Justice your win here today. And I believe we are taking the white flag just about now with about 14 seconds left. Yep, there we go. Crossing the line. And Justice is going to, and it's, are we getting an actual repeat? I think we are. They're getting instructions to stay single file. So once again, the lights are out on the pace car, but we're just out of time.
Happens quite frequently. So the top three, Justice, Hammonds, Silver. I mean, that's, look at where they started in this race. Justice, plus 23. Hammonds, plus 28. Silver, plus 26.
Great race by all of them. Luck came into it a little bit, obviously, but you got to work with the hand you're dealt. And when they were up at the front, it looked like they were going to not let go of that opportunity. As you can see already, the four weaving back and forth in celebration. Reese Bogue just outside of the podium, clearly quite happy with that result. Richard Regan Jr., with him managing to part the seas, is going to get a top 5 out of that. So unfortunately, he started on the pole, probably wanted something a little bit better, but I'm sure in light of the situation that he wound up in 5th, he'll take it.
Quite frequently, people like to ask the question, what is the toughest NASCAR track? What track best displays the skill of a driver? A lot of drivers, a lot of people, a lot of fans say Darlington. I say this. That tests finesse and your technical abilities. But to me, there's more to that makes a driver a good driver. You need skills on so many different types of tracks. You know, intermediates test your, repetitiveness, your consistency, how well you can save tires. Short tracks, they test a little bit of the elbows bumping. But super speedways, they say a lot of luck plays into it. And yes, luck plays it, up a little bit. But the tenacity, that just go for it attitude, super speedway racing is a skill. And that's why you're seeing Tyler Justice cross the line and win it.
Victory for the number 6. And they start to take off now. Hammonds, as you mentioned, 2nd, and Silver in 3rd. Well done, the Phase 2 Chassis Works driver. So we're going to let them celebrate here today as his teammates and competitors come up alongside. There's a little bit of a love check there between himself and the 55 as they will now come on through and get to enjoy this win. We always say that things can be a little bit random sometimes here for Talladega races, for super speedway races. And while it's not completely random, you just heard Dylan talk about the fact that there's definitely a skill to racing these types of tracks. You really do need a little bit of lady luck on your side to be able to come away with the win. And of course, some help from your friends doesn't hurt as well. As it looks like they're going to now celebrate on the front stretch. Tyler Justice here, your winner, with Stan Hammonds in 2nd and Nick Silver finishing 3rd. Reese Bogue was P4, Richard Regan Jr. in 5th. Adam Zimke is in the 6th position, followed by Waylon Turner in P7, and Joey Tebben did get himself into the top 10. He finished 8th as Jeff Evans was 9th and Matt Gagnon was in 10th. Then on the next slide, it was Kalen in 11th, followed by Doug Evans, P12, Brett Punkari, 13th, and Jim Westerfield, P14. Lowen Dick was able to at least claim 15th as McLaughlin, 16th, and Holly all the way down in 17th. He's not going to be satisfied with that. Same with Acosta there in P18. Patrick Cowgill, 19th, and Daniel Knight all the way down in 20th, ironically, where he started. Nick Hunter, 21st, was then followed by Jacob Emery, 22nd. Then you get into cars a lap down with Ehrman, Bajin, Powell, and Dunkelberger, and now we're into multiple laps down, as well as DNFs, the remainder on this one. Looks like we do have Tyler Justice ready to talk to us here. Let's see how he feels about taking this win in the end, especially with how narrow it was when that yellow flag was thrown. Tyler, congratulations. I don't know if you've had a chance to see how tight it was when the yellow came out, but it looks like that was the tiniest of margins for you to get victory today.
Yeah, I knew it was close. I was scrambling trying to get to the lead there because I knew once it went under the 5-minute mark, it was going to be close to go back green and restart there. So I knew I had to get to the lead. Had like a minute and 11 seconds of damage earlier in the race from that first wreck. I kind of pulled it down on the apron and hit the inside wall by accident. So got that cleaned up, got it fixed, and luckily we still had really good pace. I don't think anything was broke, just like body damage or whatever, but was able to ride that second lane up through there with my teammate Dakota there, and got up to the lead, and then someone threw a block, and I mean, I apologize for that. I mean, it was my mistake, but when we're coming with that big of a run right there, and I got my buddy right on my bumper, if I lift, I'm the one getting turned. So I just kept my foot in it, tried to push him as straight as I could, but it was such a big run that it just turned him right off my nose. So hate that happened, but luckily we were able to settle down in second there for those last few laps there, and Dakota and Sean were able to get back up to me somehow, and I was able to work my way back into the middle at the last second there, and then just get my nose out clear there for the lead. So it was a fun race, stressful when I got that damage because I didn't think I'd have enough speed left, but luckily I think everything was okay. So that was fun. It's my home track, so glad to get the win and move on to next week.
Well, what a home track to have to try and win at. Always difficult to try and be at the right place at the right time at a place like this. This, of course, does mean that you've got yourself a victory for the season. Do you rest and wait after that, or do you continue to try and see if you can take the top spot away from some others?
Just do the best we can. I think the best you can do is just go out there and try to get as many wins as possible, and try to worry about anything else. I don't think it's really beneficial. So just try to do the best we can. Got a great group of teammates. Dakota was able to sign up before the race tonight, so he'll be in the series the rest of the season here. So hopefully that'll help us out with different things and whatnot. So just happy to get the win and see what's next.
Well, what's next is Charlotte. Is that a track that you consider one of your stronger ones?
I wouldn't say it's a strong one. I raced there in another league here a while back and did okay, but it hasn't really been my best track. But I feel like, you know, if you put enough practice laps in throughout the week, I mean, you're gonna have a shot, figure it out. So we'll put the laps in and make sure we're ready for it, and I think we'll be good.
Again, congratulations, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you more this season.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. Let me give a shout out to all my teammates at Phase 2 Chassis Works. Shout out to Liquid Molly for being on the car. Shout out to everybody in the league, and thank you guys for broadcasting.
That was Tyler Justice, your victor here for round 2 of the Grand National Series. And it does sound like Dylan has caught up with Stan Hammonds, who finished second.
Yeah, standing alongside with Stan Hammonds. Oh, so close to getting that victory there. Just, I mean, literal feet from that happening. Are you happy with the race and how it played out?
Yeah, I'm very happy with it. I was just rewatching the replay over again, and I think the only thing that I could have done differently there, I would have just had to have been so quick on the trigger to jump up there and try to side draft Tyler as soon as I see him wrecking behind me. But I just, like, in the moment, it just, I think that I did all I could. It was a fun race, and I spent a lot of time in the middle of 3 wide and a lot of time leading, and missed that really big wreck on lap 44 going down the back, or whatever lap that was. I can't remember, in the middle of the race, but I was right in the middle of that and somehow got out of there without being in it. So I had a good time. It was fun. A lot of, got the Sky Lounge Dream Machine on TV there for a little while, so had a lot of fun.
Yeah, it felt like, especially near the end, that 3 wide racing was as intense as you could possibly get. And I have no idea how you guys managed to keep together for at least a lap and a half or two before it all went the way we saw. You feel like if the race had a few more laps in it, you would have been in a good position to hold that lead for as long as you could?
I think so. It was going to be close with me and Tyler. I mean, just following him and kind of watching him, when I was around him during the race, it was pretty clear that he knew what he was doing. But I think I would have had a good shot at it. I think I would have had as good of a shot as I had at it coming there to that last caution. It was going to be close no matter what. But I just wish we could have gotten some more racing in, because however it shook out, I was having a pretty good time. Hated ended under yellow.
Well, regardless, you put yourself in a great position for the next 8 races in this season for PRL Grand National Championship. You feel like you can threaten for potentially a points title at the end of it?
Well, I wish I could. I wish I could make every race. That's gonna be a problem for me with my job and my availability and everything. But when I'm here, when I'm home, I am looking really forward to racing and hopefully being up towards the front and just having a pretty good time. I wish I could go for the points title, but it ain't happening for me.
All right. Well, hey, pessimism gets you nowhere, man. You finished second here. You almost won this race. Would have been great to see. But Stan, well done, and maybe one spot better in the weeks ahead.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Thanks a lot, guys. Good times.
All right. Stan Hammonds finishing in second in the 55 machine here. And let's round out the podium finishers. Joe, you're standing alongside Nick Silver.
Indeed, I am. I've got Nick with me. And Nick, I almost feel like we should call you Neo. You dodged a bullet there with that last wreck.
Yeah, I kind of got ping-ponged out of it. I'll definitely take it. Wish we could have won, but definitely could have been a lot worse.
It looked like on that last restart, you seemed extremely intent on leading. Was that because of the threat of that last yellow? Did you kind of know that you needed to be ahead just in case?
Yeah, it's kind of, when it gets down to like 5 minutes, 6 minutes left or so, you're kind of gambling if the race is going to get restarted if the caution comes out. So yeah, I was kind of just biding my time watching that top lane, running their third, and I could kind of see that somebody had peeked out up top, so I figured, that was my chance as long as he didn't, take me 3 wide and shuffle me to the back. But Stan was also intent on having that lead, so he just passed me right back. And unfortunately, he didn't have the chance to get back to the lead, but like I said, I'll take third for sure.
Also, of course, we had that really bizarre situation in the middle of the race where the timing just worked to utter perfection for you and everybody who pitted with you. Is that one of those things where it's kind of like you had hoped that would work out well for you? You guys stayed out late thinking maybe we could luck out with that, or was that just sheer dumb luck?
That was pretty much sheer dumb luck. We're kind of wanting to wait a little bit longer, but we didn't want everybody else to pit and leave just me, Ryan, and Jacob out there. So decided to pit right there, and actually had a real close pit entry. I thought me, Stan, and Ryan were going to get together. So first of all, I was just glad that didn't happen, and then caution came out. I'm like, man, does this help us or what? And yeah, it helped us, kept us up there in the front.
Absolutely did. And like your paint says, you were in and out and on your way. So congratulations on a podium. I'm sure you would have liked to win, but considering how crazy this one was, this certainly looks like a good points haul.
Yeah, this is about all you can hope for when you come to a super speedway. Like I said, the only thing better is winning.
Oh, couldn't be said any better. That was Nick Silver in the number 24, finishing third today. That's going to wrap us up. And as we said earlier, we have our upcoming tracks, including Charlotte Motor Speedway for the next one. Remember, Iowa for the Truck Series, but here in the Grand Nationals, Round 3 will be at a different circuit for the first time this season. Make sure to tune in on October 4th for that. Thank you to the team today, Dustin, Dylan, and of course our camera guru, Dougie. But until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.